All right. What are we moving on to next? What's our next?
Indiana desperately needs in the recruiting world. I don't know how much they're chasing Caleb Love. You just mentioned your thoughts on that. I don't know how much
it might be more of a hat in the ring type thing. Maybe he really liked it because obviously Archie was going after him. Maybe it's a place that he's got some level of connection from. But I just have a hard time seeing it. I mean, they need scoring, but they could use the scorer. Again, presuming X is coming back, presuming X gets his 6-year medical. I just think they could use if they're going to get a guard, and I think they could use a guard. I think they could use a guard that's more that can move without the ball, and doesn't have to have the ball in his hands a lot to score it. Just basically have some knockdown shooting, somebody that can score off the dribble. Not somebody who's I don't think they need another Miller Kopp exactly. Maybe they could use one, but they could just as easily use a 2-guard who can get his own, and you don't have to draw up plays for him to get it. That they can beat you off the bounce, but it just has to be somebody who doesn't need it all the time. I think that's just a balance. Basically, just needs to be sort of a 2-guard in the middle of that spectrum. Basically, again, somebody that can beat you off the bounce, but doesn't need to have the ball all the time and dribble it 100 times. Because I don't think you want to just totally negate X's his abilities, and you don't. I don't think when X comes off the floor, you want to take too much away from Gabe Cupps. You do have Trey Galloway, who's going to be able to beat you off the dribble, so that helps. And I do think.
So do you think Trey Galloway really can beat people off the dribble?
I've seen him beat people off the dribble for 3 years. Yeah. It's a different sort. It's a getting downhill with authority, but yeah, I absolutely, he's not crossing you up and setting you up with 3 different dribbles, but he makes one move and goes. But yeah, no, he's really good off the bounce.
Do you think that he is going to, and I do, just because of from what we've seen from Mike Woodson in his first 2 years, he is a guy that sticks with his veterans. So it's going to be hard for someone to move Trey Galloway off of that number 2 starting spot next year, I think.
I think Trey's going to get minutes, and I don't think Trey is guaranteed a starting job. Yes, he gives them that, but one, he can play the 3. You can play him the 2 or the 3, and you can play him at the 1. He can handle any of those positions because he can guard any of those positions. Heck, you could play him at the 4 if you needed to. He could defend the 4 if you absolutely needed to. He's got enough size. If you wanted to go really small, you could do that. So Galloway can play anywhere you want him to. But I don't think Galloway is I don't think you have to give him that much deference that he has to start. He hasn't started his whole career, throughout his whole career. It's not like he's been that. He can absolutely be a super sub for you. Is he going to get 20 minutes a night? Yeah, he's going to get 20 minutes a night. No matter what they end up doing here, he's going to get 20 minutes a night. So they're not going to run him out. No chance. He is going to play, but I don't think you have to look at it and say, well, that job is anointedly Trey Galloway's job. He is the shooting guard, and there is no one else you could put it to 2. No, you can move him around, and if you play him off the bench, that's fine. He is going to matter, and he's going to be an example. And don't get me Trey Galloway is absolutely an important piece of what Indiana does moving forward, because he is a guy that you're going to be able to point to next year and say, that's how you do it. And that's really, really important for as much turnover as they're going to have. It is critical to have one guy on the team that you can look at and say, that is what we do here. And that's how we operate, and that's how we function. Watch Trey Galloway and see how he, functions as a high level college player, and, hustles and defends and, grinds and everything like that, and plays with intensity all the time. That is a great player to have on your team. If he comes off the bench, that's fine. Different sort of player, different size, but I'm seeing right now how much TJ McConnell is dragging this team along. Not dragging's not fair, because they're not holding back, but guys have grown up because they've watched what TJ McConnell's done on this team. Trey Galloway is going to be that guy on that team. I know that sounds like stereotypes and whatever, but still, those guys grind. There are other players on the Pacers that do as well. And Buddy Hield is the same type of guy. It's a different sort of player, but that having that example matters, and Galloway is going to matter on next year's team.
Hunter Dickinson, the most surprising entrance into the portal, probably.
Makes no sense at all. Makes no sense.
And well, there's probably something going on with, he probably just did not think he could win at Michigan. Jet Howard left. Maybe maybe there was issue with the coach. I don't know, but he has 2 years of eligibility left on top of that. And what a get that would be. I mean, you're talking about a big man that can stretch the floor, that can shoot from range. A lot of Indiana fans, I sent that tweet out yesterday, and they said, "Oh no." I'm like, because they're still caught up in antics, I guess. I'm like, going, dude, you need to focus on winning. You need to focus on what parts would work. But that would be strange to see him in India in an Indiana uniform. But boy, would he be a good one.
Yeah, he would. No, Hunter's a heck of a player, and I can't figure out. I mean, I guess it's just how he moves, but like out of all the bigs who came back last year, I guess Edie you'd put on there too. Trace, Timmy, Baycut, Shibwe, and Hunter. Hunter has the most established outside game. Out of all those guys, he's the one who, proves he can hit a pick and pop three, and has hit a bunch of them and has stuck many of them in Indiana's eye directly. So he gives you a lot of what you need in the modern game. And so nobody's saying no to Hunter Dickinson. You shouldn't, you shouldn't even think twice about taking Hunter Dickinson on your team. I don't know what he wants, I guess, I mean, he could go someplace that's already established maybe, and that's going to be a really good team. And so in that case, that wouldn't be Indiana. I mean, I don't know what Michigan's looking at, or obviously they're going to lose some players, but they're Michigan. They're going to get players. Juwan Howard's going to be able to recruit just as well, if not almost definitely better than Mike Woodson with a fresh slate. And I don't know if he and Juwan haven't gotten along or whatever. I mean, Juwan's an interesting cat for sure. We've seen, I don't know, the blow ups and whatnot. But shoot, like, I mean, that dude can play. That dude can really play, and he's annoying. Like, I'm definitely like, you want to talk about trash talk? Hunter's absurd. Like,
see,
Hunter's nuts.
I love the trash talk, and I was even starting to say, all right, the Caitlin Clark, I was starting to allow some of that to seek in. She's a little too far over the top for me, because most of the great trash talkers do it without anybody knowing it.
Right. That's true.
I do it on the court with nobody knowing it.
Right. They're just that slick. No one can tell, but like 10 years later, you find out what Larry Bird said to you. Everyone's got like these stories, like Larry Bird just eviscerated me. Like
in a million years, I would have never bet. If you'd have said Larry Bird was the all-time king of trash talk in the NBA, I'd have said there ain't no way.
Yeah,
and he was
100% is.
Ask anybody. Ask Michael Jordan. Ask Magic Johnson. Ask them all. They all have the great stories, and I love hearing. There's nothing I love more than hearing the guys that had it happen to them tell the stories, like Xavier McDaniels or whatever. He's laughing. He's like, man, he said he's going to do this. He goes, let me turn around. He did it. He's going to break my face. But
I think what people don't understand, and I think what I'm clearly seeing in this discourse is that people don't know how much the players actually enjoy it. Like, and they actually respect you if you say stuff like that. They love this stuff. I mean, like, what you kind of got to be around these guys. They're wired different. Like, they're not wired
it's a competitive thing, that especially when those competitive juices are flowing. Yeah, it's a different mentality.
If you come at them and they don't feel like they have to hold back when they're playing you, they love that. If they feel like they can say whatever they want to say because you're saying whatever you want to say, they love that, because otherwise they feel inhibited. If they feel like they can't make fun of you, or they can't crack at you, or they can't, just talk at you because you won't do it back, like you're just not that type of, like, they almost feel like inhibited, like you're like getting in their way of having a good time. It's part of what they do. They love it. And like so it's just like, you're like, it's almost more sportsmanlike to attack each other because they that's who they are. That is how they're wired. And like, I think we frequently think that like everybody's wired like them. We're not, like they have competitive juice that we don't have. That's why they're there.
And if you haven't done it, you really just don't understand it. It was funny in Iowa's game with Louisville. I happened to see a clip where Lilith for Louisville, who was a great player, she said something to Clark, and Clark just said, "Shut up, you're down 15."
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was
We've got to
great.
take.
Yeah, I mean, Kayla's probably over the top, but I'm glad she got it thrown back at her. She'll probably be better at it now.